I do appreciate that you as a black male could be in that space, and it feels like, when you got in that space, that the children became more orderly.
Mhm.
Now, there's time and need for that kind of thing,
Sure.
but I don't just want nigga wranglers. You know what I'm talking about? Like, like
Yeah,
a
no, you know what?
niglet,
You know what?
niglet
That's
wranglers. I'm not
I
talking
would.
about you. I'm not talking about your case specifically. I'm
Yeah,
moving
yeah,
on
no,
past your
but
case. I'm,
I was just saying no because that's a good point because I was trying to be nice about it because I didn't want to like say it like that.
we need a black man to come wrangle these nigglets. You know,
because
like so. So
because if I'm gonna be honest, there are times where it could have felt that way. Absolutely, right?
okay,
And you know what? I'm not gonna explain, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. Go ahead. I don't want to.
okay.
I want you to.
So like,
So I know what you're saying.
I'm what I need like
Mhm.
black male teachers that are coming there for the scholarship, that are
Yes.
coming there for, hey, help me put together this research proposal. If it's a high
Mhm.
school, or I mean, so if it's college, well, not college, but even in high school, what I mean, just like
Yeah.
give them more like scholarly effort. This person wants to publish, what I
Yes.
mean, or something, or this person actually wants to inevitably pursue a professorship, so they're
Mhm.
actually like into education. They're not
Mhm.
just a big black guy, what I mean? That is here to freaking make sure all the little black babies are in line in some
Mhm.
like militaristic freaking corporal punishment thing, as if like that's the only way black kids would learn.
Right. Right.
Versus somebody who is like a intellectual behemoth that's coming to these
Mhm.
schools as a black man and lending that heft um um and pouring into these black kids. And
Absolutely.
maybe the way that this person now has, because the knowledge level that they had, because they're such a scholar, that
Mhm.
they know how to impart upon this child, maybe that's the way that child needed to be talked
Sure.
to. Maybe that
Mhm.
child it wasn't resonating because you was just a nigger wrangler, and you were just
Mhm.
like you telling this kid to do this homework or do this thing, like you
And
barely
they're
know the
getting
stuff yourself.
they're getting enough of that at home
And they're getting up
because
that home, and they're
because a
getting
lot of
that.
these kids are coming from like homes filled
Yeah.
with domestic violence and all this stuff. So
Well,
it's
it's
like
all
it's yeah, they're
you're
coming from
just
a lot
trying to
of
like just
traumatic
trying to like
places.
just want some order or something. So
Yeah.
you're just trying to like, this kid's already traumatized in, or however different
Mhm.
ways, and that
Mhm.
they are being black in America,
Yep.
and they got
In
this fucking
addition, in addition, sorry to cut you off, but in addition, like being classified as sped students as well, that's a whole nother stigma thing too.
yeah, for
So even
that.
by the general population of
Yeah.
students in the school, the students themselves see them differently because of that
Hmm.
title. You know what I'm saying? So they're so not only are they like just being black in America and being black male kids, black male students,
And
but the whole
special
stick,
needs
the whole
kids.
sped special need, yeah. So
And on top of that, it shows
yeah.
that the studies show that having more black men
Mhm.
and black teachers generally in schools, that the school to prison pipeline is a real thing. It diminishes those numbers, right? Because
Mm.
there's cultural ways that they cannot resonate with this child,
Yes,
right? There's
absolutely.
ways to resolve conflict differently that
Mhm.
they may have some insight to for that particular um, uh, 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 whatever enclosed community that they're in there.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
in what part of the country that they're in.
Mhm.
There's less chance of introducing that child to the prison system, and the
Mhm.
sooner you introduce that child in that penal system, the more
Mhm.
likely they're going to end up there. The more likely they're
Absolutely.
going to end up there, rather than you finding doing the adult thing
Mhm.
and finding resolutions and ways to communicate with the child that will resonate with them, that will connect with them, that they can like then build upon for themselves and take ownership of. And
Absolutely.
that will start a whole chain of this better decision making
Mhm.
going on into the future.
I can only you know it's one of the things that was so rewarding for me at the time when I was teaching those boys because as a teacher, man, like you get to a point where you start to really get emotionally attached to the students. Like you really start to like feel like some of the pain that they probably experience outside of the school.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like I started to realize that just in my second year, like dealing with the boys, because at first it was like kind of like a shock, just kind of seeing like just kind of experiencing them initially. And like just like really trying to get that connection with them, they can trust me to help them, to lead them, to guide them, to discipline them the right way so that they actually learn in a constructive way, right? So that they actually learn like, hey, this is not the right thing to do. This is the way to do it. Like we're supposed to share. We're supposed to clean up. Like,
you're literally as a teacher, you're literally shaping the future.
Yeah, literally. And that's
the future is in your hands.
Like literally, and that's literally what I was.
People really be thinking they just babysitters, bro.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of teachers behave that way. A lot of teachers see it that way. They see it as a check.
Behave that way too. They be like, I'm just a babysitter.
Yeah, big facts, big facts. But I actually, because I kind of saw their plight and I started to really understand their plight.
So that's what a Niglet Wrangler would be, just basically babysitter.
Right.
I'm asking for scholars.
So, yeah, and I made like I really started to make like more of a concerted effort to really like I was hard on them on purpose because of what I wanted to see out of them. You know what I'm saying? Because of my motivation, not because I just wanted to be hard on them, but to like really push them to like, yo, you're better than this stigma that you're given. You're better than this diagnosis which is likely is probably a misdiagnosis for some of you guys. Some of them were like, okay, yeah, this guy's really on that spectrum. But some of it was kind of like, nah, it's for him, it's more just having structure and discipline because I'm getting this out of him. When he's doing his homework, when he's doing his work, I'm getting all this production out of him when he has more structure, has more order to his day. Right. One kid, for example, I always call him my favorite. He was my favorite. Like I love this kid. Right. His kid named Rashad. Right. Kid was 5 years old, highly intelligent. I mean, this kid is like highly intelligent, but he was on the which actually for some kids who are autistic, they are very intelligent when it comes to certain areas. But he was highly intelligent, right? This guy was like a math whiz, crazy, great. At 5 years old, I was like, and the way he put together the puzzles were insane. You could literally like have like a 100-piece, 200-piece puzzle, shake it in a box, and just throw it somewhere in the corner. He would literally go over there and put it all together, like if you're helping him, he would literally take the piece out of your hand. And like, no, this goes like it was like that. Like it was insane. He was literally like a savant, like when it comes to puzzles, right? I was like, yo, this kid is different. But he was a little bit on the spectrum as far as like his speech and everything. So we used to always have like speech therapists to come and kind of help him with his speech. And he was one of the kids that like was like no teacher could really like connect with him because he was like a little unruly. Because he was always one of those kids that got his work done fast, and he was to be bothering other kids or like taking toys away from them and stuff like that. Whenever we have like like playtime or whatever, he was just one of those kids that was just like unruly a lot of times, right? But I kind of like I grew like some rapport with him. I kind of learned how he spoke, even though it was like the speech was kind of hard to understand, but I kind of like understood what he was saying just by being around him so much. And we just grew this rapport. Like it was like every time he saw me, he would like light up.
And so here's the thing,
you know,
is that kid may not always like you were there for a year or two.
Yeah.
That kid has like K through 12 to make it through.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at because I was like, you know, I provided a lot of I provided a lot of positive reinforcement for him. And I think he gained a lot from our relationship, like because he was like people, even other teachers were like, yo, he's like a different child. Like when you're around, like he's different. And I was happy about that because I was glad that I made an impact. Even if it's just one, you know what I'm saying? Which I think I impacted quite a few of them, but I think this one specifically I was able to impact. But you're right, that inevitably is what kind of made it hurt a little bit. Because I was just like, man, like I know I impacted him in the right way, but it's kind of like, dang, he probably low-key could have unlearned it after like a year.
After a year,
you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's
like it's an uphill fucking battle.
Yeah,
so because of this uphill battle, Black families are like, okay, so you got I send my kids to the school. Y'all taking away all the history that they were studying, that like at least tell them about what the truth is about, and I could leave that up to y'all to like take care of them but y'all sending my kids to prison in the middle school, like just because if they act up a little bit doing kid shit. Right. And then when they go there, even if they don't have, if they succumb that fucking hurdle, the teachers don't look like them, they can't relate to them,
that part,
they can't relate to the kids. And so like my kid is getting like disciplinary reprimanded just because of something that is like not a disciplinary infraction in our culture, kind of things like we may forgive that a little bit more readily than you would, which is the same thing you would do for kids that look like you. Some black families are like, that is all a fucking uphill battle, and they are just pulling their kids out the fucking schools, homeschooling.
Yeah, and that's something that I am all for. I've said this before. I think that parents should absolutely have the 100% control and right to teach and instruct their kids in the way that they have designed in their homes, right? However they've taught, whatever philosophies, whatever beliefs, faiths, or whatever's in their homes, I believe that parents are 100% should have 100% power in doing that. But at the same time, if you're sending your kids to public schools or different schools,
it's a public school.
It's a public school.
It has to be a public country narrative. This is why it's a public school, so we can all kind of be like, our forefathers, of this, well, the country, I mean, were these group of people, or the geography of how California and why is New Mexico called New Mexico? You know what I mean? Or like Louisiana, why do they talk that funny over there?
Yeah,
funny like that over there. Or why is it this community has this highway running right through it? So like all of that information that you need for a cohesive society. This is what the public school idea is about.
Yep.
But you gotta tell the truth, though.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's it right there. If it's public school, then that means you should be accounting for the public, right? Yeah. The entirety of the public, not just 75% of it, not just 2/3 of it. Like it should be the entirety of the public's desires and concerns should be reflected in how children are taught in these spaces, in the curriculum that's built.